She betrayed me with him. The shocking truth I uncovered will leave you speechless. The walls are closing in, and I feel like I'm drowning in a sea of deceit. My world has been shattered, and the path to get here is like a twisted, sickening roller coaster I never asked to ride. For over a year, I've sought refuge in the stories of others, desperately hoping to find some solace, some answer. But now I'm here, pleading for your wisdom. My name is your name, and I'm 35 years old. My wife, or soon-to-be ex-wife, is 31. About 6 months ago, the intimacy vanished from our marriage, leaving me bewildered and heartbroken. We have two beautiful young sons, the center of our world, and we were even in the midst of building our dream home. I'm the type who can't stand idly by as things fall apart, so I knew I needed to act quickly. I sat her down, my heart pounding in my chest, and I asked the questions that have been haunting me. Why the sudden coldness? Why no more hugs, no more kisses? Why does my touch feel like a burden to you? What happened to us? At first, she was resistant, guarded as if a dam was about to burst. But finally, the truth came spilling out, raw and painful. You're not enough, she declared, each word like a shard of glass piercing my heart. She felt alone, burdened, like she was the one wearing the pants in the relationship. She claimed I was unreliable, that she made all the decisions, handled the kids on her own, and, most devastatingly, she said, you would be better off alone. She even went as far as saying I was an introvert. It was a brutal barrage. It was excruciating to hear, but I swallowed my pride, desperately wanting to save our marriage. I told her I understood her pain and pledged to change to be better. I love her more than words can say, and I would rather bend than break. But inside, doubt swirled and sleepless nights became my constant companion. Something felt terribly wrong. And then came the red flag, the one that drove me to seek your advice. Her accusations just didn't add up. In my eyes, I thought I was a decent husband. I work from home for 8 to 9 hours a day. But after that, my focus shifts entirely to our boys. I play with them, feed them, take our older son swimming, put them to bed, and even handle those dreaded middle-of-the-night wake-ups. Beyond childcare, I help with the housework. I do the dishes, grocery shopping, and even try to clean. Even though she prefers my efforts weren't as efficient, I maintain the cars and handle aspects of building our new home. I pour myself into making her life easier, knowing that raising two little ones is incredibly demanding. The honest truth, I'm not a hyper-proactive person. Some people can't sit still, constantly searching for something to do, some new venture to start, some task to complete. Her father is like that, but I'm wired differently. Once the kids are asleep, the work is done and the house is tidy, I crave relaxation, a movie, or a video game. I'm also not driven by a desire for a glamorous career or a massive fortune. I'm content being a regular guy, a good-looking one at that, who wants a healthy, happy family while earning a comfortable living. I knew she struggled with this difference, even after 4 years of happy marriage and 5 years together before that. After that December conversation, I desperately tried to change, to become the man I thought she wanted. I took on extra chores, did more house repairs, basically tried to be the antithesis of the guy who sat on his butt in the evenings. She seemed to appreciate it, but her feelings toward me remained unchanged. Desperate, I initiated a second conversation. Given her coldness, I didn't mince words. Do you even want to save this marriage? Her reply, a hesitant, wavering, I don't know, was like a punch to the gut. But I pressed on. Do you want to go to marriage counseling? Again, the agonizing, I don't know. I even suggested separation just to gauge her reaction, and upon hearing that, she relented and agreed to therapy. Though she seemed utterly uninterested in finding a therapist herself, during these painful talks, she revealed some truly devastating truths. I married you simply to impress my parents and sisters, to create the image of a big, happy family with beautiful children. She admitted she married me out of fascination, not love. I also discovered that she had been discussing our marriage with her colleagues, with clergymen, behind my back. Despite the crushing weight of her words, I found a fantastic therapist, and we've had 3 sessions. We learned about our different love languages. I crave physical touch, while she needs acts of service. However, since starting counseling, she hasn't touched me once. No hugs, nothing. After the second session, I asked her how she felt about it, and all she said was that she was uncomfortable sharing our personal information with a stranger. The therapist was visibly taken aback when she learned that we hadn't slept in the same room in 6 months. My wife's excuse, she sleeps with the children in the bed and there's no room for me. The therapist countered that excluding a husband from the bedroom sets a terrible example for the children and suggested that if space was the issue, we should get a single bed and put it next to the larger one. So, I did exactly that. I bought the bed, assembled it, and now I sleep there alone. It's ridiculous. She is all the way to the left, the boys are in the middle, and I'm way over on the right. Since this whole ordeal began, my wife's story has shifted slightly. She now claims her depression, stemming from spending so much time at home with the children, caused her to say those hurtful things. She insisted that she was overly emotional at the time, and so on. I would never say such things to her, not in a million years, but I suppose I had to trust her. She recently returned to work, and we hired a nanny. The only change in her behavior is that we now communicate more, but I'm more than just her friend. I'm her husband, and there's absolutely no intimacy. There are no signs that things will improve. She doesn't even seem to care about the upcoming counseling appointments. So I'm the one who has to keep scheduling them. She even told me she doesn't need intimacy, and only ever did it when I wanted it, making me feel like some kind of abuser. We used to be intimate once a week, which was fine with me. It could have been more frequent, but I was content. This year we've been intimate only twice, both times out of pity. Once was in early January for my birthday apparently. I now need a special occasion to be intimate. The other time was after a counseling session. She just laid there, covering her chest, waiting for me to finish, which made me want it even less. That's not what lovemaking is supposed to be. Whenever I bring it up, she simply says, "That's just who I am. If you don't like it, just leave." I am at a loss. Update 1. Then the unthinkable happened. One evening, I saw that my wife attempted to call her ex-boyfriend 4 times in a row at 10 o'clock p.m. They didn't speak, but she had tried to reach him. This wasn't the first time she had called her ex. I know this because we used to have an app that shared our phone activity, allowing me to see incoming and outgoing calls for both of us. That's when I snapped. Why would my wife be calling her ex-boyfriend 4 times at 10 o'clock p.m.? Driven by a growing sense of dread, I checked her texts on her laptop. I felt terrible violating her privacy, but it felt justified. We were married, had children, and her behavior had become increasingly bizarre. After the 4 unanswered calls, she texted him, "I'm going to keep calling until you pick up and talk to me like a normal human being." When I confronted her, she lied and claimed she hadn't called him. So, I showed her the app and the call logs. She had no choice but to admit she tried to contact him. I pressed her for a reason. Knowing that she texted him after the calls, I asked if she had messaged him. Again, she denied it. So, I showed her the text. She then claimed that he had called her, drunk and spewing nonsense. She said she told him to F off and hung up. Then, she felt bad and tried to call him back 4 times because he didn't answer. Finally, she sent the text. He never replied. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. It happened around the same time she stopped being intimate with me. Her perspective, it was neither strange nor awful, and hiding it from me wasn't a big deal. But to me, any communication with an ex, especially at that hour, is a massive red flag. Is she cheating? We hadn't been intimate in 6 months, and then came these calls. Update 2. Thank you all for your insights. I'm reeling from the support. I was stunned by how many of you suspected she was cheating on me. It felt like something from a movie, something that wouldn't happen to me. Maybe I was naive, believing my wife would never do something like that. But today, everything changed. It became a horrifying reality, and I feel like a fool for being just another statistic. I had promised to call her ex and speak with her family, but I decided to take a step back and play it cool. Instead, I did something drastic. I installed a voice-activated recorder in our car. Just a recorder, no GPS. It was only there for 3 days. She took the car to work, then to a workout, and then she called him. Or maybe he called her. I don't know who initiated the call, but I heard everything. It was a video conversation on the phone. I learned more than I wanted to know about their intimacy and our respective lives. The same playful connection, the jokes, the attraction, things I haven't experienced with her in ages. They even discuss vacation plans. She wants to visit him in July. She even offered him 2 years to move back to our country. 2 years. I can't believe this. After listening to an hour of this sickening garbage, I'm numb. I need to meet with an attorney next week. All I wanted to say was thank you. You opened my eyes. If it hadn't been for you, I never would have bought that blasted voice recorder. And to think, I felt guilty putting it in the car. I will keep you updated. But for now, I need to breathe. I need to think about my children and the monstrous betrayal she has committed. They started this affair in September of last year, and it took me 2 months to notice the changes in her behavior. I will be caring for my elderly father in another city for the next week. This means she'll be unable to work and will have to use my home office instead. This also means she'll most likely be speaking with him in the office. Should I plant the recorder in the office for the next week? Or do I already have enough? Update 3. It started in September of last year, and I've been out of the picture for quite some time. Right now, She avoids spending any time with me in our apartment. She always has an excuse, visiting her parents, seeing her friends, anything to get away. Even when we're both home, she falls asleep or simply lies in bed after we put the children to bed. The recording says it all. She expresses her love for him, her desire to visit him, and to be close with him. They talked extensively about his personal life. She told him she wanted to go on a trip with him, and that she would marry him soon. She even revealed her preferred bedroom positions. So yes, they had sex. It's all there, documented in excruciating detail. The thing is, she has no idea that I know. Her entire family and circle of friends are completely in the dark. They simply believe we are going through a temporary rough patch. She is one of 3 Catholic sisters and attends church every Sunday. We live in a tiny town with a population of 20,000. We recently started to build a house, but it is not finished. I believe she will file for divorce soon. I can feel her desperation to escape this apartment. Her body language and the complete lack of meaningful conversation speak volumes. She wants me gone. She wants me out of the picture so that, within 2 years, her affair partner can move to this tiny town and live with her and my 2 young sons in our home. In the recording, she says she's giving him 2 years to return to our country. She believes people will understand that she needs a father for her children and won't object. The AP is her first boyfriend. They dated for 7 years before she married me. We've been together for 9 years. The AP lives abroad but makes frequent visits to our country. I refuse to be played like this. I now have an attorney, and we'll meet soon to discuss this. I could destroy her reputation by sharing clips from the recording. What should I do if she serves me papers, according to my attorney? Preparing my documents will take a month. I never imagined I would be dealing with a monster like this. Update 4. I met with my attorney and received some crucial information. Turns out, completely destroying her reputation wouldn't be a wise move. We have children, and I'll be co-parenting with her for the next 15 to 16 years. Plus, I respect her family and don't want them to be witnesses in the divorce. Also, I wouldn't gain custody of the children because they are young and need to stay with their mother. In the tiny town, an hour away from me in the capital city, I'd be relegated to being an every other weekend dad anyway. Finally, I wouldn't be able to sell our house because the children need adequate living conditions, and finding alternative housing would be difficult. As awful as it sounds, this is the reality of the legal system. Following our meeting, the attorney sent her the documents. They were scheduled to be delivered shortly after Easter, which is celebrated over 2 days in Poland, Sunday and Monday. I faked it all at the table, and drinking helped a lot. Yesterday, Tuesday, I had a day off from work and was caring for my 1-year-old son. She went to work in the capital city, an hour away. In the meantime, my brother helped me move all my belongings from the apartment to his car. Then, the postman delivered the divorce papers, which were actually an invitation to mediation, so that we could divide things amicably. The documents mention she is in a relationship with this guy, which is why she is getting divorced. The evidence I have will be used as leverage when establishing child support. When she returned home, I told her that I knew everything. I have incontrovertible evidence. I am deeply hurt and she should call my lawyer. Then, I handed her the divorce papers and left to visit her folks. Of course, she started questioning how I knew, denying everything. Her parents were shocked, but they believed me. I documented everything as instructed by my counsel. It began with me asking if they thought I was a loving husband and father. They agreed. Now, she can't use them as witnesses against me in court. As I said, they believe me and recognize that what she has done is horrific. She has shattered our lives, as well as the lives of our children. I thanked them for their understanding and headed to the capital. Meanwhile, I called a buddy, who took care of delivering the news to her friends. She still denies having sex with her AP. He told me that everyone was on my side, and she had destroyed our family. He also informed me that her sister had visited my soon-to-be ex-wife and told her how awful she is. But in the end, he claimed that all could be salvaged. He had cheated on his wife. She had forgiven him, and they are now happy. Then, her father called and said that it was entirely her fault and that she had no idea what she had done. He informed me that the AP would never enter his home, and that he would stop financially supporting my soon-to-be ex-wife. He even contacted the AP, but the individual did not answer. In the end, he expressed his belief that it could be salvaged. Finally, her other sister texted me saying she fully supports me but feels it can be saved. I am against the idea, since I have proof that she had a relationship behind my back. I'm concerned that I don't have a bedroom recording, and my evidence might not be enough to convince her to go. I have audio recordings of her saying stuff like, "Make sure you last more than 3 seconds when I see you and I love you. And I am planning to leave my hubby, and record yourself and give me the video." And I'm giving you 2 years to relocate back here, all combined with her total lack of emotion toward me. But this might not be enough for her or my lawyer. Anyway, as many of you have said, she is already backtracking after her family confronted her with everything. She is sending me texts. I had no idea what I was doing, and I can't imagine life without you, and I am deeply sorry for anything I have done, and I'm waiting with the kids for your return. She says she never meant to say that she's always loved AP. I do not know. Maybe I should just believe them. They're making me feel like I rushed into the divorce because I don't have actual recordings of their intimacy. It feels like I was just being crazy. Update 5. Many of you said that once the papers were served, she would come crawling back to save face and get me back, because she needs help with our 2 young boys. And it happened. She started writing to me on Messenger, but not very often. All of the messages read the same. I can't imagine my life without you, and I love only you. She also sent images of our children and messages saying, we're waiting for you and we love you very, very much. That is it. It has been 5 weeks, and she hasn't contacted or visited me. She had many chances, including driving past my parents' house where I currently live. Only Messenger texts appear infrequently. We also saw each other a few times while switching the children, and she never tried to apologize or say anything, just a brief hi and bye. Her family began communicating with me much more regularly. Her father contacted me twice. Her mother emailed me a dozen links to Christian pages about forgiveness, and one of her sisters texted me, apologizing and believing my wife has been possessed by an evil spirit. Her other sister explained how my wife had damaged our family, and that she did not expect me to return to her. My brother-in-law even stopped over and took me out for a beer. He wasn't trying to convince me of anything. He was just discussing what had happened and what might happen in the future if I didn't return. Sure, he wanted me to come back, but he wasn't forcing it. Essentially, all of these conversations were the same. We can't believe she did what she did. We would like you to return to her, but we understand if you don't. The day came when I had made up my mind. My lawyer told her lawyer that I had decided I couldn't forgive her in time and requested a divorce. My lawyer provided my terms, and we're currently waiting for her counsel to respond. While I waited, her sister started criticizing me, telling me that I was going to wreck the marriage. She claimed that my wife started this by being herself, but is now very regretful, crying, and wishing she could turn back time. Now it is my turn to be selfish, and I intend to end the marriage. According to her, it's all on me now because I can rescind the divorce and return for the children. She suggested I didn't even need to return to my wife, just raise my 2 sons. She told me how angry I am and how it will get worse with time. She told me to suck it up and keep living with my wife, framing this divorce as my revenge, stressing that it is also retribution on our children. I can't understand it. Others had warned me this would happen, that her family would turn against me. But it still shocked me. For a moment today, I felt terrible, as if it was all my fault, that my wife treated me like garbage for over half a year, that she chose to abandon me physically and emotionally, and that she wanted to leave. So yes, they have a strong influence on me. It's incredibly difficult, but I won't change my mind. The divorce will occur. It appears they now have a narrative in which I am the guy who abandons the kids. I've been thinking about how to end this dispute by giving my terms for reconciliation. Terms. She's unlikely to accept. I don't love her, but I do it for the kids. I adore them. Separate from her, not happening. She leaves her hometown and moves with her children to the capital city where I live. GPS in the car till she stops driving in her old age. Daily phone check. All after I finish my 7 months of dates with random girls. I would also not be afraid to date during our relationship and never tell her. If she finds out, it makes no difference because there was no marriage. I do not care. What are your thoughts? Am I crossing the line? It's only an eye for an eye. Nothing serious. I probably won't do it anyway. But I don't know what else to do to keep the family from accusing me of abandoning the children. In my place, small children like ours must be near their mother in the event of a divorce. I can't have them since she lives in a tiny town and are distant from me. And the kids attend kindergarten and nursery there. We cannot divide custody 50-50. I'll be the every other weekend dad with full access anytime I choose. It's sad and unpleasant, but that's how it is. Update 6. It's been 2 months since I confronted her, gave her the divorce papers, and relocated to the capital city, an hour away from the little hamlet where we used to live together. I currently live with my parents and sleep on the couch in their living room. The dining table has been converted into a workspace, entertainment area, and my clothes are hung on every chair around. I work from home for 8 hours and then help my elderly parents, who are 88 and 71 years old, with household duties. I get their groceries and drive them to doctor's appointments. Apart from that, I go to the gym or the movies to escape the bad thoughts about what happened. I visit my children every weekend. She drops them off and I take them back. The weekends are fantastic, and I find myself happy when I'm with them. I took a paternity test and the boys are mine, so there was no confusion there. The situation with the divorce terms is currently unknown. It's hard to predict what will happen because I live with my parents and, as a father of two and a mature man, I don't have anywhere else to live. I want a large sum of money from my wife, and she is taking over the mortgage for the house. She consented to the mortgage takeover but only offered 1/3 of the amount I requested, citing her contribution to the house's construction. The thing is, I did not cause this circumstance. I'm not guilty, and I need a place to live. She is offering me such a low price because she wants to keep the house. However, the last time we spoke, I learned that she may be forced to sell it. This is what she should have done from the beginning. She will be unable to pay both the mortgage and me. We'll see how it goes. Other financial issues, such as child support, are also up for debate. She wants too much, and it must be agreed upon. She also argues that I should be the one to pick up the children from the little town and drive them home. By the end of the weekend, there will have been a lot of fuel and time spent. It should be her dropping them off and me driving them home. As you can see, she is responsible for everything. But she is also willing to argue about the conditions of the divorce. Her sister invited me to attend her daughter's communion last Sunday. I went to spend more time with my sons. Every family member is aware that my decision is definite, therefore, they did not attempt to talk to me about it. I basically took care of my boys while everyone else drank and ate at the table. Following the ceremony, however, at one point my wife questioned whether my decision was truly final. I glanced at her and said, as gently as I could, "Yes, it is final and nothing will change it. I'm here now for my guys to spend as much time with them as possible." However, she expressed her shame and regret for what she had done. She told me she stopped her relationship with the AP by going to an exorcist, telling him everything about the affair, and then leaving it in God's hands. I said that I didn't care about her priest, and if there's anyone she should be telling everything to, it's me. At that point, I had to make sure she was telling me the truth. I said, "If you're truly sorry, I'm here to give you one last chance to tell me the whole truth. Tell me how often you had intimacy with him." She said she didn't. Then I asked her, "Do you remember that party you held with your work pals in November? Why did you rent a flat for the night instead of staying at one of your friends' apartments?" After hearing it, she went paralyzed and couldn't say anything except, "Why do you need to keep torturing yourself with it?" I stated that if she was truly sorry, she would stop lying 2 months after I left. This was just one example. She couldn't remember how many times she had intimacy with the AP. After that I asked her, "How do you picture getting back together? You start a conversation with me, then lie the next. Do you realize I'll be checking your phone every day? What are your thoughts about that?" She responded that would not be trust. It would simply be treating me as rubbish. Then our son intervened and the conversation was nearing its end. I ended with, "Remember, you didn't just cheat on me, you cheated on our adorable, wonderful boys." She began shrieking that this was the last time I told her something like that, in front of our children. It's interesting because her sister has told me that my wife is hurting and crying every day because of all of this. It's true, my wife is a two-faced woman. She even said that if she wished, she would join the AP and her family. So come on, I think I'm simply venting at this point and keeping you updated. Thank you all for your support. I'll be strong and end this mess one day. I believe my boys will need psychological assistance if things do not turn out nicely. The older one has been scared lately, but I will always be there for them. Update 7. Our attorneys finally reached a deal, and the divorce will take place shortly. She has taken over the unfinished house and is now solely responsible for the mortgage. The house is for the kids, and I don't want anyone to say later that I sold it as part of my revenge on her. Furthermore, I don't want to live in her small hamlet, which is an hour away from the capital city where I'm currently. However, I am receiving what I put into it, and that amount is not awful. The child support amount is reasonable, and we agree that she will drop the kids off at my residence in the capital city every other weekend. I'll just need to drive them back. Now I see my children virtually every weekend, but it's not enough for me. It causes me so much anguish that I can't take it sometimes. I cannot allow 1 and 3-year-old boys to grow up without a father because of an unruly mother. I wish I could have them, but it's not feasible because of Polish law. I'll have to start driving there in the middle of the week or something to get by. As for her, she keeps texting me that she loves me, wishes she could go back in time, and is suffering daily. She softened to the point that she told me she no longer considers checking her phone to be treating her as rubbish. She agreed and said I could do it all the time. She also said we may transfer from the tiny village to the main metropolis. She pledged to tell me everything about the affair, every detail, if I would accept her back. She came to see my parents and apologized. Something must have changed, someone must have told her something. She's now eager to do anything and even displaying some guilt. The last time she messaged me, she said, "Thank you for not selling the house and ending the relationship amicably. Accepting the divorce is synonymous with agreeing to your terms. I'll have to agree in court, but let me assure you that it won't be true. I do not want this divorce, and I adore you. I know you don't believe it, and I understand. But I want you to know that I hope to have the opportunity to prove my love to you someday. I adore you, and I'm sorry for everything." There are no words to explain how much I regret everything. Things like those sway me and hinder the healing process. I'd be lying if I said her remarks didn't affect me. The idea of my boys growing up in the capital city rather than the tiny town is appealing. I know she struggles with being alone with two tiny boys, but she cheated and wrecked everything. I expected it to grow better with time, but the wound is healed slow. I'll remain the course. I'll end this. I'll update one day, maybe when I'm finally happy. What are your thoughts? Do you believe my wife is sincerely sorry? She only agreed to tell me about her infidelity after I stated I might come back, not right away. She didn't offer to let me check her phone immediately. She did not immediately volunteer to move to the metropolis from the tiny village. It took 3 months for her to demonstrate contrition. When she apologizes, she doesn't even contact or visit me. She does it over Messenger. Her entire family has now sided with her. Her mother calls me a narcissist, and her sister claims that I only want to profit from the divorce and leave a woman with 2 young sons. I paid a brief visit to my children yesterday, and she invited me to spend the night. Naturally, I left. I'd appreciate any insight. Update 8. D-Day was April 7th, and here's how I feel after nearly half a year. In such complex scenarios, the same questions must be answered daily. In my case, the question is if I still love her. Could I go back to her solely for the children? Do I want to return to her little village to complete building the house? Would I be okay with myself in 5 to 10 years, knowing what she had done? The answer to all of the inquiries is a resounding negative at this point. That is it. Yes, I adore my children and wish I could spend every day with them. But I cannot. I want to love her. But I can't, even though she wants me back. I wish I could have that family back. But I cannot. I want to forget everything. But I can't. I even gave her a second chance, which included moving to my city with the kids to begin a new life. She didn't even agree, telling me that she has her family's assistance in the little town and will not sell the house, since she wants our children to have something in the future. When I told her that family isn't this silly building, but a mother, father, and children, she just shut up. This is when I realized there is no longer us. There is no agreement. I mentioned that I would not continue living in the tiny town because that is where the affair began. He observed her driving down the street and phoned her. I won't finish building a house 1 mile away from her AP's family home, and I will not spend another day worrying about meeting him. He lives abroad but pays 2 to 3 visits to his family each year. That is the story. I despise the little town. She does not wish to live in the capital. That is it. Here's an example of how she approaches things. We agreed that I would take the money I put into the house, and she would keep the building for the children. She now has an issue with this because there is a clause in the agreement that specifies she cannot sell the house until the children reach 18 years of age. Otherwise, she will have to divide the money she receives from selling the house between herself and me. She believes this is unjust because she intends to build the house with her own money, and if it is sold, I would receive half of the proceeds from a far more expensive finished house. When I asked her why she would consider selling it, she explained that she cannot anticipate what her life will be like. I can't trust her at this point. I can't bear the thought of selling the house I bought for my children. Update 9. She sent me a message today asking for a response to her question. I'm asking you online because if I were to do it in person, we just shout at each other. You've told me who I am and what I've done, and you don't want to talk about it anymore. After all of this, do you want to forgive me, put the past behind you, and start over with your family? Or do you already know you don't, and will never be able to forgive me, and you'll never return to us? Please think about it and let me know if you want our marriage back. What does this mean? I don't think she's in a position to demand anything right now. I believe there is another person involved and she wants to discuss the problem with me. I replied, I'm worth more than a messenger conversation, and we'll talk soon. I laid forth my only 2 conditions for this marriage to last. Move to the capital city and cut all links with AP and his family. The second is obvious to her, but the first is an insurmountable impediment. She apologizes for her actions, but she refuses to relocate to Warsaw because we will never be able to afford a magnificent large house there, and even tiny apartments are prohibitively expensive to rent. She claims that our children have it easy in the tiny town. She just pays the bills for the flat she presently resides in because it is her father's property. In Warsaw, she would have to spend 4 to 5 times more for a smaller flat, bills and so on. She also has enough friends and family to visit with the kids after work. That is all true. I see the children are pleased and it is handy for her. She claimed if we moved, only I would be thrilled about it. It would boost my ego. It's just a bad scenario, since she's right. Her sister owns the small town's kindergarten, which we pay almost nothing for. She simply put me in an impossible scenario to solve. I hold my ground. I will not live in the little town, but it does not make sense for them to relocate. In this scenario, we agreed that I would simply continue to visit and spend as much time as possible with the children. I will continue to take them to Warsaw every other weekend. She informed me she will not date anyone else and will only wait for me, and that I will see for myself in the future that she will remain single. I find it difficult to believe, but I don't really care. Maybe it's good since the kids will have me as a father. During our chat, she said things that demonstrated that she is not really sorry. When I asked her why she hadn't phoned me once,